If you really look at the sum of data in the world, you can see since World War II ended, you see this dual this dual social organization where really highlighted by something like Germany, which was completely consumed by the West. Obviously because the Axis lost, right? So when they were dividing up Germany, they gave the communist world East Germany and we got West Germany. We always wanted West Germany because if you educate yourself, the technological hearts of the world were in West Germany. Look it up. Do some fucking research. West Germany was the cutting edge of science, art, technology, and we wanted that shit under our control and we wanted their people. We didn't care about East Germany, so we were like, yeah, you can have that shit, whatever. Yeah. So you need to look this up. Like, for some reason, in East Germany, people in the highest positions of power were all weird sex offenders. Like, we see this thing that would continue all the way until the present day, where anyone who's left or has some kind of economic justice ideas, they start uplifting low functioning sexual degenerates. And I think the reason this is so is sex offenders are limited people. Like, there's data on this. You think I'm fucking with you? Look this up. You can take a prison and you can look at the violent offenders, the non-violent offenders, and the sexual offenders who are a subtype of violent offenders. And even against other violent offenders, they have lower IQs. The average IQ of a violent sexual offender in prison is 83. The average IQ of all other prisoners is 94. There's something about being a sex offender and wanting to do that suggests brain damage. It's a fact. They've known this in science for a while. There's something unique to sexual abusive behavior that belies and suggests you have a brain problem. And context, even not being intellectually impaired, and you can function well on tests and learn some skills, there's likely subtle brain damage that makes you so preoccupied with being a sex offender, right? Sex offenders are known to be brain damaged people, like even compared to other violent offenders, like people who attack people, they have more brain handicaps. And if you think about it, it makes perfect sense why that would be the case. Imagine what it takes to be a rapist. Like, you're doing a violent act and you think of sex. That's like really impaired, right? And that's exactly why sex offenders are on average limited low IQ people, right? What we call IQ is a measure of mental potential, meaning if you don't do well on an IQ test, it can suggest and often suggests you have some kind of brain problem, like the development of your brain, there's something wrong with it, right? So, what better way to find people who have brain handicaps to make them easier to control and less of a threat than to look for sex offenders to give power to? Because even if you're someone like Bill Clinton, right? And Bill Clinton's a gifted person, like he's actually pretty intelligent. Like, on an IQ test, he does better. But there must be something wrong with this guy's brain that makes that the elites want that he's so into rape, right? You know, it suggests there's a problem in here where the people who hold the money can push you around and you'll do what they want, right? And so since World War II, we've seen this coupling where the society or the group that they've selected to be controlled and not a player because they represent the left, they fill them with sex offenders. And you know, right, it's the biggest irony right now on Blue Sky. They're like Trump and Epstein, it's like when Epstein was targeting Trump, he was a Democrat, his best friends were Democrats, he wasn't a Republican, and they were all rapists together. Ooh, think about that. Like, there really is no ops where it was centered around raping kids and raping women, and they were mostly Republican. That's never existed. And they're lying to you. These people saying this about Epstein are currently still raping people. They're currently still targeting women like me to rape. They're still making art where, because they're so limited mentally, they have no capacity for inversion, no capacity for parody, no capacity to imagine reality and turn on its head. Their art is so blah and binary and devoid of any mockery other than this white women being raped. It's really fucking weird. And you look at what Epstein was, it was the same thing. Like they were weirdly obsessed with finding poor girls who were white and rape. There was no like victims of Epstein who were not white. It shows like this thing was already there. Like their type is poor white women. And they also commonly are into occult shit. And I think it's because they hate poor white Christians too. And they tell themselves they deserve it. It's really fucking weird shit. So we need to talk about this thing. Like the monopoly man has been controlling any potential opposition by flooding the ranks with low functioning sex offenders. It's been the case since West and East Germany became a thing. It's been the case since the Democrat Party was being polluted all throughout the 80s and 90s. Epstein at the time was cavorting with Democrats. The fact Trump is MAGA now, it really should give you pause that the biggest degenerate who would destroy the world started out as a Democrat in New York and New Jersey, right? And we see it still today. These people on Bluesky, I don't know why. They have this like rote, binary, low functioning mental thing where they find it hilarious to rape and dehumanize white women. And you look at their art and it's just like devoid of mockery of anyone, but there's always a white woman suffering with insinuation of sexual humiliation. It's really fucking weird. Think about how they all converged on raping and torturing me, and they do this every night. It's like I really believe this. I think somewhere if you go in the CIA files and the M16 files, deep hidden shit, they've probably got data how sex offenders are limited people, and the best way to neutralize any threat of capital deregulation would be to flood the opposition parties and systems with sex offenders. Because we can see this, like Epstein, the Democrats today, even communist Germany, they were like just low functioning walking penises with one singular goal of finding amusement and humiliating, sexually dominating a specific type of woman, or children especially, but any white woman especially, right? It's really weird shit. And I'm sure it wasn't an accident, right? You can't tell me that's an accident. And the degeneracy of MAGA today is actually a sign of the degeneracy of the Democrats then. Yeah, yeah. And keep in mind, I'm not saying the Republicans are morally upstanding people at all. But what I'm trying to say is a lot of these degenerates you see who are now MAGA got their start in Democrats and were selected because they're such low functioning, binary thinking, easy to control thugs who will never, ever actually fight for the people, but their job will be pretend they do. And their one joy in life is like tying up a white woman to humiliate. It's really weird. Really weird shit. And I think that was created by the capital holders to prevent any real change. And what you see in MAGA is a result of what they did to Democrats then. So the entire the entire pretense that Democrats will save us when MAGA came from Democrats. In this sense, the monopoly man found the most weak, morally degenerate people in the Democrats that they already perverted to then become MAGA is, yeah, good luck with that delusion. Good luck with that. But yeah, I think there's something to this because there's a lot of scientific research how sex offenders have mental handicaps. In prison, of all the offenders, their IQ is 83. And even if you don't have a intellectual handicap to the point you would do poorly on a intelligence test, there's some kind of deficits in how you reason and function. Sociopathy, where you are very easy to control and you will never be a threat and actually do the right thing, right? And that's why they uplifted these types in the parties that were supposed to be left of center. So they would never be left of center. So they would always converge into this low level psychopath cult sitting around stroking their dicks to white women being raped and little kids being trapped while Trump, then a Democrat, and Bill Clinton are doing this. just like in East Germany, like their highest goal was to find a poor child to rape. And you look at it, it's like this repeating trend. I don't think it's intrinsic to left politics. I think it's intrinsic to neutralized left politics controlled by money. And I think they literally find people like that to give them the spot because they're fucking terrified of somebody who's got an intact brain, who's pro-social and also understands left politics are right. That's their worst fucking fear. And this is why you see this today, even in 2005. It's fucking 60 years, 70 years out from the communist world versus the developing world. And I don't know why, but everybody who's a high level liberal is just fanatically obsessed with tying up and raping women. Really weird. And you can't dismiss it as, oh, this is just mockery, you're not creative. It's like, because they're not doing that to any other group but dehumanizing females. And they just make the female body white and then they tell themselves it's totally okay. But if you made like a cartoon with like a Mexican sleeping or a trans woman not passing, they would be like, we have to kill you now. But the one group where it's just mockery and lighten up is coincidentally the same group that they actually rape all the time. Me, the victims of Epstein, who were all Democrats doing it at the time. It's just really weird shit. And it just goes unnoticed. Yeah, I have this hypothesis. The way they got this world was by filling Democrats with really low functioning psychopaths. Worse than the Republicans, classic ones anyway. And a lot of these MAGAs were the worst of the former Democrats. Like the finest accomplishment of a low-level, binary thinking, thug-like psychopath, where they're happier than a pig in shit if they're raping a poor person. Food for thought. Food for thought. But it explains a lot about Blue Sky, why these weird psychopaths are all calling themselves ethical liberals. And their art centers around rape and torture, but they lack that creative inversion of reality for any other group but raping poor white women. And we can see they do that in real life all the time, from me to Epstein. And they have people like Screaming Pectriloquy who do shit like, I don't know, their account is nothing but gore and violence. Like, again, at the time I didn't know, and so I thought it was amusing. I thought it was a joke. Now I'm like, oh no, he's just really a psychopath. Like, he actually likes to watch rape. That's the thing. Like, you won't know unless you see that inconsistency. Like, they have no humor about mocking any other group but white women being sexually tortured. And that's consistent with what they've done to me, with what they were doing with Epstein. Like, Epstein had no victims who weren't white women. Like, it's like this fetish they have. Like, a lot of rapists have a type because the type symbolizes something to them. Like, you look like my first girlfriend, or in these people's case, like, no, we aren't oppressors because it's a white woman. It's like, but they find the weakest person, like a child who comes from a poor family and was already abused, myself included, right? I really believe, because this has been a trend since the CIA was created, since the war ended. Anyone left of the Monopoly man gets flooded with sex offenders. And the only reason MAGA is so full of sex offenders today is because a lot of these people were like the finest accomplishment of the sex offenders they were filling the Democrats in. Something to think about.